today's show, 10 for 10 Women of the Hobby, we have Jess, and I hope I pronounced this right, Minio. Did I say that right?
Yep, you did.
Let's go. So Jess and I, we haven't met yet, but I've been at Bleecker numerous times. Friend of a friend. I got to give a shout out to my man, Jacob Salter, who put this all together for us. Big fan of what you guys are doing at Bleecker. Big fan of you from afar. I've tuned into a few of your breaks with Jess on Instagram if you're not following. She does a thing. She's funny. She keeps the energy high. So please give her a follow. And I'm really excited to kind of get to know you because, in my opinion, Zablo does this thing, Jacob does this thing, but you're the heartbeat. You're the engine of Bleecker, if we're really going to call a spade a spade. So I'm kind of excited to get to know Jess, your collecting story, how you got into the hobby. And I hope people listening today also reach out to Jess, join her breaks, support her in her journey in the hobby. So Jess, welcome to the show. It's really, really, really great to have you.
Thanks for having me. It's really an honor to be on here to, be a member of Women of the Hobby in general, and just, have a platform like this to speak and just talk about the hobby, me, Bleecker, Breaks with Jess, and stuff that's going on now that people care about.
So you're hustling. I mean, it was Mint Collective. There was like 3 events at Bleecker the last week. I think you had a children or kids event on Saturday. Do you get any rest, or has it just been nonstop cars for like the last 2 weeks?
I'll rest when I'm dead, but no, it's always nonstop. I mean, I love it. I am hustling, but I love it. I thrive in this environment, basically.
I showed up an hour and a half before the trade night started. So they're like, come on, it's bad enough we got to babysit these idiots from 7 to 10. This guy walks in at 5:30. I'm kind of hiding in the backyard. Nobody saw me dunk until they watched the episode, though. I love that you guys have a basketball hoop back there. It's pretty awesome.
Right? It's definitely dangerous for us, on nice days when we just don't want to do anything. Just take an hour lunch break and just shoot hoops.
See, that's the deal. Well, listen, we've had several folks on for our 10 for 10 Women in the Hobby, and I haven't asked this question yet. And something you just said, like you hear representing women in the hobby, it kind of leads me to what I'd like to ask you. And we'll get into your, like Andrew likes talking, your origin story, your collecting, who you collecting, the whole deal. But when we say it's 10 for 10 women in the hobby, it actually means something, right? If you haven't looked, take a look at Black Jaded Wolf post from Mint Collective with just dozens of people in there. So I guess maybe, and I apologize to our audience for not doing this right from the jump, right from episode 1. But what is Women in the Hobby? What does it mean to you? Is it a group? Is it more than that? And why are we doing it? Like, why are you guys doing this? Talk to me about that.
So, I didn't create the group per se, but I do believe that Women of the Hobby is more than just the group. There's a Facebook group. I think it might have started with just an Instagram page, and then there was a group chat with all of us in it. That was at least right before the National, I think. And then the Facebook group has gotten a lot bigger as the months have gone on. So Women of the Hobby, it's definitely more than a group, but right now, I think that we can collectively just call it the group of us that have this logo behind it, and where we all are able to meet up and communicate and stuff like that. So in that essence, we're a group of women who collect. Some of us are card shop owners. Some of us are breakers. Some of us have just been passed down cards from family members and don't know what to do and care about where they go or want to gain interest. Some are kids looking to get into this for a career. I've met, through this 16-year-olds who go to card shows and sell their stuff. So it's definitely a group that's given us a platform to chat, because there are very, very, very few women in this hobby. So, it's expanded so much, and there's, honestly, I'd say tens of thousands, if not maybe hundreds of thousands of people who collect cards. And I really, truly think that maybe there's 5,000 women, not in the Facebook group, but in general, who actually seriously collect cards and would call themselves a collector.
I hate to put you on the spot, like right off the get, but and I'm not going to hold your feet to the fire for this, but like, how would you grow that number, right? How do you go from 5, 10 to 10K, 10K to 20K?
Honestly, I'm doing exactly what I'm doing. If anything, my weakness is content. posting, finding the time to do that kind of stuff. So that's why I'm happy that I have a bunch of other women in that group who do so even more than I. Like Mama Briggs, who was on, all the girls who started it. I mean, Christina from Car Ladders, always talking, just women in the hobby who have content out there, who are pure examples of leaders and people who are just doing it. So I mean, I'm doing exactly what I want to be doing, which is going to shows. I show a presence. I support all the other women. I try to talk like this and just let people know, hey, I'm a collector and you can be too. And if you're scared, don't be. That's kind of what I talked about at the Mint a lot, is just people who are looking to get women involved, even businesses, just ask us. It's that simple. So I think just motivating women not to be scared, or younger girls not to be afraid of entering a male-dominated space. It's not that scary, you know.
It really is.
Especially because I have a bunch of guys who have my back, and that's the biggest thing. There's nobody who's gonna say something to me without somebody else saying something to them, because it's a well-respected community.
Hootie will find you.
Yep.
They don't know Hootie. I just want to echo that. Like, I have a sister, she's 10 years younger. She's graduating college. And I've seen, just like, we hang out a lot more as she's older, you know, just words of encouragement really go a long way, right? Like, she's applying for jobs and negotiating her first salary, you know, just words of encouragement. Like, go out there and ask for what you think you're worth, right? And it's interesting, like how you just said, just ask. Goes a long way. What matters to you? So I love that. Are you a New Yorker? Are you from New York originally?
So I'm originally from New Jersey. I only moved to New York after I got this job at Bleecker. I lived in Brooklyn for a little bit. It's back in Jersey, and I moved to Manhattan in October. So I started here in September and I moved here in October. So not New Yorker, but I've also worked in New York before, so might have an accent here and there.
What accent? Yeah.
So don't have me say water.
Water. That's it. Listen, I love it. I mean, first of all, Bleeker's a lot of fun. I mean, I love the momentum coming out of Mint Collective. I really do. And, you know, it's part of why, you know, Andrew had the idea to do this 10 for 10 series with, you know, women in the hobby. And look, content is one. I mean, you don't realize how much content you put out there because you're breaking all the time, you know. And let me ask. So one of the things that I think probably, you know, women have, you know, kind of like concern about, especially for breaking. And I'm here to say it's not a woman. I would have the same thing. Is, you know, it's like, what about breaking something I don't know, right? How do you play that off, Jess? So this is a question I would ask a guy too, right? Like, let's just say Thursday, someone's telling you got to break soccer, and soccer's not. I
did on Thursday.
I did my research.
I just roll with it, just like anything in life. You just have to roll with it. You know, somebody's asking you, just make okay. I'm just gonna let you guys know, like, I'm not an expert, and that's why I'm gonna ask whoever is an expert. Hey, is this good? I mean, I know the Prism products, so I broke Prism UFC, I broke soccer. Prism Soccer in the same, you know, live on Instagram. I don't know who I'm looking for. I'm going to butcher the names, but I'm going to own it.
By the way, sometimes I think that's more fun. People ask me to break hockey. I can name like 3 people in the NHL, but it would be a fun break. I'm like, Kaprizov, Rabasov. Yeah.
Boquist, you know, I don't know. I know, you know, Connor McDavid. That's about it.
There you go. You got that. Sidney Crosby. I could say that.
Capo was a rookie, I think, 2 years ago.
Oh,
again,
I thought you were saying
know.
El Chapo. I thought you saw him.
Maybe.
His camera there. He's coming to get you, Andrew. El Chapo's coming. No, I mean, or Hootie. Yeah, Hootie and Andrew are pals.
Hootie's the best.
Man, love.
And for anybody who doesn't know, Hootie's a guy who works here who's the nicest, most genuine dude. He's funny. He's from New York. He's got the big accent, and he's just he hangs out here all the time. He's got my back 24/7.
Just Google Hootie Vlad TV, and you'll just spend an hour. You know, have a laugh. It's hilarious. It's good content.
Hootie Social Club.
Hootie Social Club, and Hootie is the reason why people can bring 7 figures worth of cards to Bleecker and not worry about it. It's like the scene from The Godfather where it's like, if this was somebody else's wedding, all that money in that one little bag, you're not going to, don't worry about it. No one's stealing. They do the same kind of thing in Goodfellas. Like, where's the money? Where's the bag? Oh, don't worry. Nobody's stealing that here. It's the same thing. Putin will find you. That's it. That's the deal. Go ahead, Andrew.
Yes. What's the origin story? Like, how do you find yourself in cards, right? Is it that I'll leave it there because I have my vision, but like, how do you find yourself in cards in New York City?
Like currently, or what's the background?
What did
you have? Backstory.
Did you have a corporate job on Wall Street and then you left and then you've been a journeying entrepreneur and then you try to find jobs and got fired everywhere you ever went?
Were you a trapeze artist in the circus and you were opening packs while you were on the high wire? I mean,
no, that story was mine. That was the latter was mine.
That was a good one. So actually, I think I have a pretty interesting story. Everybody kind of is always like, "Wait, what?" But we'll start back from when I was a kid. So I grew up in Jersey, the suburbs. My dad worked 6 to 7 days a week. So all the time that he had with us, so Saturdays he spent with us meaning my 2 brothers and me. So I have a younger brother, 3 years younger, and an older brother, 3 years older. I'm the middle child, only girl. So my family loves sports. We love the Yankees. My dad was a big Jets fan and Cowboys. So it's also where my weird cowboy love comes from. Anyway, but so we would spend Saturdays with him in the morning. He'd take us out to breakfast, and then I would hope that we would go to Toys R Us, but sometimes we would just go to the card shop. So in that, I didn't get a choice, and if I wanted something, it would have to be at the card shop. So that's when I kind of started collecting Pokemon cards, and then baseball cards as I got to like 10 or 11, and I just learned to love it through there. So I remember even watching home videos, and my parents would give us packs Santa would give us packs in our stockings, and my brothers would get packs of cards or weird games to play, and I would just play with them. So I was always brought up around that. And then I went to high school, that obviously dwindled out, went to college, went to Quinnipiac in Connecticut, and I still had an interest in cards, weirdly. Whenever I'd go home, my younger brother would still go to the card shop sometimes, and we'd spend a couple $100 on a few boxes. Again, back then you can get like 4 boxes for $300, and that was still a lot. Fast forward a little bit, I graduated college and worked in the Bronx in Hunts Point Market with my dad, who worked in produce. So he worked, again, commuted from Jersey to the Bronx every day. And we worked in a produce market doing potatoes, tomatoes, and Brussels sprouts. I worked as an intern there for like a year and a half. And then my great uncle who owned it passed, and the world came kind of tumbling down, and my dad was like, I don't know what to do. I was like, well, I'll just start a company. What do you mean? I'll just start a produce brokerage. Instead of us having overhead and going to work, I got you. He was like, okay. So I started Papa Sprout, because everybody called my dad like Papa Sprout. It was just an inside joke. So I brokered potatoes and tomatoes. And being your own boss at the age of 23, I was bored at night. So I spent hours on the internet, on YouTube, watching breaks. So that was in like 2016. And so I got back into cards heavy, just spending most of my time getting into breaks, going to card shops in Long Island, New York, Jersey, Connecticut, just getting whatever packs and boxes I wanted to rip and selling some on eBay, and just, hardcore. I was watching Cards Infinity. I was watching Leighton. I was just doing everything I could to just be immersed in the hobby. And it was bad because I didn't get sleep, but it's what got me.
Yes, be real. So like starting a business is hard. Starting a business with family is even harder. Was breaking cards kind of like your escapism?
Yeah. So that was literally what I did to keep myself feeling like I was working, but sane, and just had a purpose, because I didn't care about tomatoes and potatoes. Like, I didn't even like tomatoes up until this year. So, opening cards was kind of my outlet. And then fast forward to COVID, I still had the company with my family. But
You guys exited?
So I actually just exited recently. I just like dissolved it in September when I started working here. But during COVID, I got into Facebook groups, and I was into cards heavy on Facebook. And there actually is a massive community, if people don't know, on Facebook. I think that's where I see the largest movement of cards. I see $1 million cards sell on Facebook weekly. It's literally insane. And I've met a lot of people through that community. Actually, most of the people I've met prior to working at Bleecker was purely through Facebook. So I was on my buddy's Facebook group, and I was just like, hey, he was breaking. I was like, I wish I could do this. He was like, you can. I said, what do you mean? You can break. And his name's Jonathan Rotunda, and he was running Roto Breaks, and he makes a repack product called Roto Box. So he was like, I'll give you the financial support you need, and you start breaking. I was like, who wants to watch me? Like, I bite my nails, I mess up names. And he was like, you'd be surprised. Like, you know what you're talking about. So that's what got me into it. And through that, I went to the national with him. He taught me kind of the ins and outs of how to build a break, how to do team breaks, how to gain a following, just how to stay consistent. And he taught me that, I guess, like, my love of cards could bring me somewhere. So pretty much he invested in me, and I learned to invest in myself that way. So I started that in 2020. So 2 years ago. And yeah, now I'm here.
And now you're riding the cycles, right? The boom, the little bit of the consolidation, the flight to quality. What's how do I word this? What do you see? I mean, you're kind of on the battleground. You see things. You're in the shop most of the days. Breakers get to see the product everyone wants. What do you think? Like, what do you think the hobby looks like moving forward? Do you think it sustains all of these breakers? Do you think there's a consolidation? I'm curious your take, because you get to see it firsthand.
So I think the hobby is going to sustain it in general. I think that it's not going anywhere. For the first time in many years, I think that it's going up. It might not be going up when it comes to base cards or, graded paper PSA 10s, but talking about the community and where we're headed, I do see more longevity than previous. When it comes to the product, I mean, I got it right before the boom, but I think that a bunch of breakers are going to be weeded out. I think that there's going to be a standard that's going to be set. And I think there's going to be, with this shift in the big, like, fanatics purchasing of a bunch of these brands, I think that we're going to see a major shift. And I think there's going to be a standard there. And I hope that there's, instead of there being a bunch of platforms and crazy stuff going on, I think if we're going to see consolidation, for sure. A little more fairness.
Right. There's still so many people coming in. Somebody reached out to me and was like, hey, I want to be a breaker, but I can't fill this break. It's like 3 Donruss boxes. You want to get in it. Just that was the whole message. I don't know who the person was. It was a young kid. And I looked at the break, and it was like, $3 for the Spurs. And like, the whole break was like $250. And he only had like $80 in or whatever it was. So I just messaged back, what's your PayPal? I bought the whole break. This way he could break and see if it was his or not, or if this is what he wanted to do. And, then I gave out the spots in our Tiger Discord, just, handed them out and the whole deal. But the best part, Jess, is the night of the break, because he posted a story. Everybody go follow Cage Lawyer. Look what he did. I got 11 different kids message me. Hey, I'm doing my first break. For all I know, it's all him. That's the fun thing about the internet, right? He could just be doing 11 breaks. It could be the same guy. I doubt it. We're just funny how that happened. But before we jump off and let Andrew, I'm cheersing with soda. I don't know if you're allowed to do that. Let's take a second and give Mr. Rotunda a little cheers there. Because here it's easy after Mint Collective, and after seeing that this is kind of how we're going, and I see a lot more husband and wife, boyfriend, girlfriend, partners, everybody there, and a focus on women in the hobby and diversity and inclusion. That was 2020. That was 2 years ago, where he could have been like, Jess, what the hell are you talking about? You can't break. There's like 3 women in the whole hobby. He didn't, right? Yeah. And that was 2 years ago. think about how far we've come and how far we still have to go. And you have to be the next Rotunda, people listening to this. You know, if somebody, you know, if you take nothing from what we've talked about, right? With, I mean, Mama Breaks, who was on, you know, said just get your wife involved, get your friends involved, you know, get your girlfriend involved, right? You don't have to actively seek it out, but if somebody asks, you know, don't shoot it down. You know, there are plenty of people doing this, and you know, as we continue to do more of these episodes, I change where I go with it, right? I ask, oh, what can we do to go? But the more people I speak to, the easier it is. I realize we just can't stand in your way. Like that's kind of that's what I need to learn, right? Like, you know, we don't have to be like, okay, here's the money, here's the this. Just don't be idiots. Like, don't be roadblocks in front of you guys and let you do your stuff. So, I mean, I'm loving these segments. And Rotunda, cheers to you. Nice job.
Cheers to, we can call him Roto. Cheers to Roto.
Roto, I get to meet Jess because of you. He could have shut the whole thing down 2 years ago. So good job.
He could have shut it down many times, you know, learning how to do this stuff. And, you know, I'm dyslexic. So I run minis on Facebook, and I just would mess up the lists. I'd get discouraged. I'd be like, I don't want to do this. Like some days he's like, Jess, like I can help with the list. It's fine. Like, and we've worked it out, and I swear we fought like we were husband and wife sometimes. And he's married. He's an adorable kid. He's totally in love with his life. But, you know, we fought like, you know, it's my business partner now, and he backs me 100%. He's been to every show that he could make. He was the one recording at the Mint and sent the videos to my parents when I spoke on the panel. I'm like, that's a real cool friend. Yeah. So, you know, besides him, like I have to shout out Mark Zapplet. Like he gave me the opportunity to get this job. And I remember one day, like you were just saying, it was when I just first started here, and I started as like a part-time retail manager, assistant manager, and I turned it into this. But I think he realized my full potential when one day he just backed off a little bit, and he was like, I just need to get out of your way to see you do these crazy things. I was like, well, I guess, because when somebody's not telling me what to do, I do 10 times more because I want to show you what I can do. Yep. Instead of, you know, direction. So that's why I was kind of smiling at that, because there's not getting in my way. It's just I feel like I have something to prove still, and I always want to feel that way. Just
what is that though? Like, is your future in breaks? Is your future, you know, growing Bleecker and opening kind of other locations across the country? Where do you, and don't feel pressure like you have to have the right answer. It could be kind of a little bit more of like, these are opportunities I see, perhaps.
I think my future is as being a huge breaker and being able to kind of branch that out and do breaks with Jess and have other people break with me. So be this massive breaker and, you know, have a name for myself, but also, run Bleecker, you know, make sure our shop, there were a social club that we're opening in Cleveland is running amazingly. You know, I know we're trying to do eventually in the next few years, do one in LA, Chicago for Jordan, like all this opportunity. It's out there. And honestly, it's all limitless. I don't know where I'm going to be taken, but I want to make sure that I make an impact. So that's what I've always wanted my whole entire life. Is I've learned that you can't make anybody happy, but you can put a smile on their faces. And the only way of being impactful is to make a difference and go outside your comfort zone and just keep going. Because if somebody can see that you're a kind person, that you're leading by example, then you've made it. And the money's
can't make anyone happy, but you could put a smile on their face. Did I get that right?
Yeah, correct.
I like that.
So like, if you're kind and you're doing things out of the goodness of your heart, you're most likely gonna make somebody smile, and that's all that matters to me, is that little change that you're gonna see in people's life. So that's why I love this hobby, is because it's all about the kids. It's all about my customers. It's all about the support and the room for growth and the room for knowledge and just spreading that out there. You know,
so
why do you guys open up cards?
Why?
Like,
I mean, because I'm a gambler. I'm a degenerate gambler, and you know, I'm hoping to chase my first hit of crack. Like the first time I broke a box and got a huge hit out of it. That's what
So
I'm
you can't
doing.
make me happy, but you put a smile on my face, Cage.
That's
Right?
it.
You got
I put a
excited
smile
when
on
you
your
got
face.
the
That was the
get
deal.
that hit.
Well, he knows about the hit a crack. I mean, he did one right before the show. But here's the deal, right? So he's smoking it. It's just nuts. So, but I got to ask you because look, some people who we're interviewing are new to this. Some people have come in, in the last year or two. Some people have been here 10 years. You bring a different background, which is, while you were, doing Papa Sprouts, you were free time at night watching breaks and maybe getting involved in breaks.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that was years before the hobby kind of blew up here. Maybe that's 2016, 17, which is, which, by the way, for 80% of our listeners, that's before they got in. For 80% of the people at these shows, it's before they got in. You're like an old timer in the hobby, being here 5 years. What kind of breaks were you watching? What kind of breaks were you getting into? Like, what was your thing, right? Was it Flawless? Was it,
No.
Revolution? What was your thing? What was your jam?
So, like, I wish I could go back and say that it was Bowman. And because if I had 2016, I'm sure I'd have a gold Tatis auto, but it was whatever I could get my hands on. So Chris from Cards Infinity in 2016, Museum, I loved the look of it. Gypsy Queen. There was still Topps Tribute back then. There was Innovations Basketball. Elements Black. There used to be Topps. He would still break Topps Black football. That was cool. Black and gold football. That was the coolest.
Those were cool cards.
Like a thick card that had like a fake gold shield in it. I was like, wow, it's so cool. Triple threads has always been my jam. And honestly, back then, because I went to the National in 2016 with my dad and my brother, my dad bought a case of Flawless baseball and a case of Flawless football. And back then, the cases were maybe $1,000, $900. And that was big. And he used to tease us, being like, oh, I'm going to let it marinate. But eventually he'd open it and give us each a card. So I still have I got a Jameis Winston out of 25.
Crab legs.
Yeah, the rookie. So it's it's emerald. I don't know.
Let it marinate. Are you Italian?
Yeah, I am.
No.
So actually,
yes.
Yeah. So yes, I'm Italian. So yeah, I was into, I guess, the stuff that's not worth anything now. But it didn't matter back then, because you didn't know you didn't know what was going to be worth anything back then.
Right.
NT baseball was so cheap, and now it hit over. I think at one point it was over $1,000 a box for this year's.
Yeah, it's
just
still
crazy.
much cheaper than the other sports because it's not licensed, but it's definitely way more than it was.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you don't know. Pretty much everything now is expensive. I mean, I'm paying $150 for a box of clearly Donruss football and telling everyone what a bargain it is. Because it's more than double that.
$450 now.
Thank you to my LCS, who gave me 2 boxes at $150. And
Wow.
Ian got a Waddle auto. He got the Waddle away, Waddle.
I love
that was my play this week. Jess, I'm curious. And I have my theory on this, but I'm not going to say my theory until you give me your answer. What was your favorite trade night or event at Bleecker?
Ooh.
Yours.
I think it was my first one. It was the Hulu premiere party.
What?
When the Hulu.
The
so
Dave East.
The Dave East came.
The Wu-Tang
so
one?
So the series premiere of Wu-Tang came out on Hulu. And it was so last minute. It was crazy. I think it was like 6 days before. And I just started working here. And we were messaging Hulu asking for some support. And I just remember them 2 days prior saying, yeah, we'll get almost the whole cast in. I was like, wait, what? The cast of Hulu is going to come here? Like, we're a card shop. I'm confused. But they made it happen. And we had all the guys here. Dave East rolled up. We had catering in this whole entire social club. I was like, oh my God. We had a projector in the back, champagne bottles popping. DJ Ski came and gave a huge speech with, Dave East. And there was just so many people. And I just remember we were also selling wax. So I had like a little pen and paper. I was just marking down the sales, because we weren't built out yet. But I think that was the most fun, just because I got to see, the mix of all worlds. So DJ Ski, seeing what he's doing now with cards is crazy. seeing just the vibe that, you know, Mark kind of has instilled in us, that the card world is going to be a mix of everything. So music, sneakerheads, you know, any influencer is welcome now.
Collectors only. This is a collector
You can
show.
only collect cardboard. Just so bringing that was a really cool vibe here. And then besides that one, I'd say it was a close second when Jimmy came here from Kentucky Roadshow. That was just fun. Everybody was just so happy and chill. I think, Cage, that's the first night I met you.
Yep.
I'm pretty sure.
Was he near the pizza?
Yeah.
And you said, we have other guests coming, Cage.
No, I think in the beginning,
let everyone have first before you have second.
I was still like semi-skinny Cage in the beginning. Now I'm like, give it a pizza. Where's the pizza? Why is it not here? I was more Diet Coke then. I was more hitting the backyard with the, the coolers. But yeah,
I did meet you in the back.
That guy Jimmy, he is just always smiling, man. I mean,
I was thinking that too.
Always huge ear to ear, which is great. And think of that, Jess, right? You know, where the hobby, the industry has taken all of us. You get to, you get to do a Hulu cast, a couple weeks onto the job, meet them all, DJ ski, do this whole deal. But think about, you can do it, right? If you build it, they will come, even if you want to fake it. You have the whole cast. You got Davies, you got all these people there, and you're like writing down with a pen and paper who bought what. Because the POS system hasn't even been built out yet. I mean, it's pretty crazy
100%.
to think about.
Yeah,
it's pretty crazy to think about.
It's nuts. It's really crazy just to see where we're at now, how far we've come, and we're also where we're going. Because just knowing the partnerships and the future that we have at Bleecker is just like, I did fake it till I'm making it now, and still every day it's like, I don't know how to talk to this person, but I mean, we have the new Zero Cool and Jackass just made cards. The auction's going out soon, and I was just on emails, and we have the Pop Insider or something. It says Bleecker Trading, Yahoo Finance. We were in last week, and it's like, so you mean Johnny Knoxville and I might be going like live together or something? Really?
Nice to break.
Just like so, like we are going to do a break, but I don't know. I think we're going to try to pull in some talent, but the fact that I'm even in that conversation, I'm like, oh my god, just this is so cool. I started just with cards, and now still has something to do with cards, but it's just like you said, fake it till you make it. Now I'm here. I'm like,
be on the lookout for pranks, please, because you don't know what's going to happen.
I love it. I don't want to be pranked. I'm ready for it.
Love it.
Check
Probably
your seat.
not.
Make sure they didn't put an airbag in your seat before you sit down for the break. Just check it first. See if it.
Mark will probably be like, I'm not coming in that day. I know things are going to be crazy and like kooky, but you have fun with it, Jess. He's always like, you have fun. I'm like, okay.
Well, listen, good for him, because that really is what I mean. Hobby, industry, whatever you have, business, whatever we're going to call it. We're all drawn to it because it's fun. We had fun as kids doing it. We're having fun as degenerates doing it now, breaking these products. I mean, it is. I say this to Andrew all the time. I'm like, we just closed a nice call. Here's a business deal closed or a sponsorship. You're having fun. It's great. The other act, but like as long as we're still having fun. If you're not having fun, close up shop. Right. Yeah. And I guess that's cool to be, making money, having a business where you're enjoying yourself. I mean, Andrew makes fun of me. I'm a Disney guy, but whenever there's construction in Disney World, when I walk past, they have like little quotes of Walt Disney. And one of the things, I'm going to butcher it, I'll paraphrase it, but he says, if you find a job you love, you'll never work a day in your life. Walt Disney. Yeah. Right. I mean, look what you're doing. Isn't that great? I mean, you don't have to work with tomatoes. I know it was great working with Dad, but, I mean, it's cards now.
Yeah,
Jess, my story is similar to that too. Grew up in the family business, worked with my dad. I think now, and I kind of get this vibe from you, it helps you, right? Growing up in a small business, you fight for every single customer, right? You treat them like they're your own. And if you take that into cards, and I've seen your breaks, you do. That's more important than pronouncing Yarmari Yager's or Jogger's name the right way.
You said it right the first time.
Really? It's a silent J? Jogging? Yog.
Yarmir Yager. You did good, man.
And I 1,000% agree with you. And that's what I know my dad's going to watch this, because my parents are super proud of me. And, I've been afraid of speaking my whole life. And this is my first time actually on a podcast ever.
Really?
Yeah.
You cannot
tell.
So
thank you guys.
You're doing great.
But that's like my dad. He called me on the way to work today, and I just chatted with him, and he's the reason why I'm a hustler. He put his whole life into working, and it's so that he could make his family happy and give us what we needed. So, it was hard working a family business, but it was worth it, and it still is. I got that connection with my dad, and everybody says I'm my dad's twin. We have the same laugh. We like to bust people's chops, and whenever somebody says I'm like my dad, I get chills because he's taught me to be kind to everybody and just to work so hard, because that's what we do. You keep your head down and you push through, and like as long as you're happy at the end of the day and as long as you love, you're good. So like again, the family business, potatoes, but now I'm where I'm at, and I can't be more thankful. Just the support that he gave me and my mom, and now the people who support me in the hobby. It's just really special. So hi, Mom and Dad. I know you're gonna watch this on YouTube. You probably said it to the whole entire family. Hi, Karen and Vinny.
What about your brothers?
Hi, Nick and Mike. Nick actually still
collects
collects cards, so his goal for us in the future is to open up a card shop together. Still.
There you go.
Maybe
She's Jan Brady. She's not saying hi to she's the middle child. She doesn't have to say hi to them. They tortured her from both sides. It's no good.
They did. They teased me. They still do.
A card store with your brother. I mean, that would be pretty awesome. That'd be pretty cool.
So I'm curious. You said you collected Pokemon cards as a kid, but then when you got back into it, you collected more baseball, I believe.
Baseball.
What do you collect now? Where have you landed now? Is it everything? Is it non-sport? I'll leave it there.
So I collect everything. I'm a hoarder. That was the biggest issue of moving into Manhattan.
Where am I putting all this? More storage locker.
Yeah. It's an issue. Under my bed, there's no clothes. In my closet now, I had room, like beautiful shelves, and it's just filled with wax and cards. Not a lot of wax, more cards because I rip. So I collect everything. I've been trying to stay on the path of what I love, which is baseball and football. And I like opening basketball. I'm getting into F1 slowly just because Christian here is a fan and a fanatic, so it's cool watching. And that's about it. I mean, I like opening up stuff that's not sports related. So, Cage, what card did you bring in on Thursday that was really cool? Who was it?
I had a Pele. I had a Pele with me.
No, it was the non-sports.
Goonie.
The Goonies. The Goonies card. Yes, I had a Goonie. Yeah.
The truffle.
Chunk.
Yeah.
Truffle.
So like that kind of stuff, I love it. Like I don't have too many cards like that, but I do hopefully want to get a random card of maybe one of my like an M&M auto would be cool. That'd be sick.
That would be really cool. By the way, take a pause for a second. Think about this. This is a collector. I brought in almost 70-year-old, 65-year-old Pele rookie that I paid way too much for. And she's like, no, not that. Not that. The chunk auto from Goonies. That's the cool one.
That one.
It's amazing. See?
To be fair,
that's why I bought
your reaction was the same, though. Your reaction was the same. When we were
I love that card.
You're like, I got my grail.
That's it. I love my card. This is amazing.
And he also taught me a little about bargaining. You went in there, you told the kid a certain amount. He's like, nah.
No.
And you just had to come back and just go for it.
It's just, here you go. Take it. Take my money.
You're a 90s kid? You grew up listening to Eminem?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Eminem, I was on, what's my now CDs? But yeah, I can rap the real Slim Shady with drinks or without drinks in me. So, word for word.
I gotta imagine an Eminem auto is, I can't imagine he signed a ton. Like just kind of his personality.
I've never looked it up, to be honest. I probably should find one.
Listen, I have a friend named Stan who has been trying to get his autograph for a long time, and he wouldn't sign for him. He wouldn't even sign for his little brother Matthew.
That song. I remember that on the Grammys. He sang that.
It's so dark.
He was only 6 years old, waiting in the blistering cold. 4 hours.
Waiting for the blistering cold.
Yeah, I think that's how it went.
Jess, have you seen Defiant Ones? I talk about this documentary to everyone, but it's like it's
I have
Dre,
not.
but they talk a little bit about the come up of Eminem and that. So it's on Netflix, 4-part series.
I'm gonna watch it. I love binging when I'm sorting at night. So when I'm
Oh.
sorting my after breaks at like 3 a.m., I just throw something on.
The Way I Am. I went for a run yesterday. It was listening to Eminem, The Way I Am, kind of throwback. It brings you back to like the 90s, simpler times. They wouldn't even play him on the radio. They said he was
Too much.
invoking violence, is what
He
they
was
said.
corrupting children. He was corrupting
Yeah.
children.
Explicit.
By the way, The Way I
It's
Am.
true.
Good
It's
instrumental.
literally
Good
true.
instrumental. Very good instrumental. Well, look what he did to you.
I'm corrupt.
Look what he
Yeah,
did
but
to
just
you.
going off that, so like I would love to have more non-sports cards, but basically I love baseball. I'm Jeter fan. I just got my Mike Trout 1-of-1 back that I pulled during COVID out of a Gypsy Queen box topper back, like PSA 10. It's so cool to me. Football, I still collect, I PC Patrick Mahomes. And then
He's not a cowboy.
no, he's not. So my first big card was actually
I PC Jackson Mahomes.
TikToks and NFT TikTok videos of him. I'm like, that's rough, man. That's rough.
Sorry.
I heard a joke. It was him and Juju Smith got traded to the Dolphins, and he promised not to do any more TikTok videos. But the joke was, I forget where it was. He was like, yeah, but the first TikTok video he made was with Jackson Mahomes. They immediately just said, we don't want you anymore. Like, yeah, be tough. Jackson Mahomes. Oof. But
I mean, he's got it rough, man. I mean, he's living in a shadow. I kind of know what it's like. I mean, I have to show up every day, and I'm in Andrew's shadow. And, I get it, man. He's like Patrick Mahomes. I'm like Jackson Mahomes. It's an interesting
tough
thing.
times.
I gotta tell you, I thought your favorite show would be Don Diego's, and here's why. And we've been to a few of these, or of the Bleecker event. And we've been to a few Bleecker things, but when I saw how all out she went for like the window storefront, all of the I feel like girls in the hobby add so much aesthetic. Cage, help me out here because I'm stumbling over my words, but like when
I'm gonna let you drown. I'm gonna let you drown here because I don't know where you're going. No, I'm just kidding. I know what you're saying.
I can help.
Women in the hobby.
I can help.
Thank you, please.
So actually, I was gonna say that event, but that was actually the first event that I took on. So working here, I was fully in charge of it. Laura, so Don Diego's actually amazing. She is the sweetest woman in this hobby, and she came to the last big trade that we have, and I'm like, we need to get dinner. Like, we really need to. She stays in contact, and she's blowing up, and I can honestly say that working with her was an absolute pleasure, and she really made my first event, and she made it go so seamlessly. But I understand what you're saying. To women in the hobby, we do those tweaks, the little details. Right. So her face was plastered on the wall, on the our big Bleecker trading logo on the window outside. So on Christopher Street, her face was there. Yep. And I helped her design that. We designed it all. We did the little place card. I printed out a bunch of fake trading cards with her name on them. The back was Bleecker, and she signed them. And I actually have one that's PSA slabbed. And so that was cool because we went all out, and I wanted to do something different. I was like, let's do a collector showcase because I want you to showcase, like, not just be like a woman in the hobby, like coming here, which is cool, but I want her to be different. I want her to be able to show like what she does because she has the coolest content. She knows what she's talking about. If you ever watch her video, she's an expert on Pokemon, and she keeps with it, and it's all the time. So I let her, we did a showcase, and that was awesome. It was hailing, and people still came. And then we did a trade night where she broke like a $30,000 box on Whatnot, and we were just all having fun. And it was just so cool, and everything was very precise. Yeah, like to the neon sign, to the small cards, to just the two different collector showcases versus trade night. That was honestly my favorite, but it's the one I put the most work into.
She didn't want to say it. She's being modest because she can't say it was my favorite one because she's the one who was behind the scenes, the whole thing. I get it.
Yeah,
I get it.
But it was the biggest teaching experience too because I did the merch. We did a merch drop. I was working with Mark and Allegra, who does all of our visuals. I was working with them to make t-shirts, hats, figure it all out. And that was just really interesting. And that's the stuff that I didn't know how to do prior to Bleecker. I never have thrown an event before, except for that was my first trade night. And
Precise is
I
a
think
good
it was
word.
epic. Yeah.
Precise, crisp. Christina's another one. I mean, like you look at Mint and how she put that show together, Cage, you talked about it. It was clean. I think our definitions of clean are different, but like it was clean. And I think that's.
I cleaned like people showered was what I meant by clean. It was a
But
cleaner show than the
it's
National.
Clean. Like when everything is polished, all you think about all the details. Precise. So.
I mean, I would think it was very clean, except for during my panel, it was Christina was a moderator and Mitch from Bullpen didn't have his shoes on. So I don't know if he cleaned his feet
Mitch.
or if that was like actually cleanliness, but shout out to being authentic 24/7.
Listen,
Mitch.
yeah, I mean, give him that. Andrew's authentic 24/7 also. Check this guy out.
I like it.
So, yeah, he doesn't know.
I'm
He's
cool
gonna
with
look
it.
up Mitch now. He's gonna, Andrew, he's a Birkenstock wearer, so he's okay with his toes out too. He's crunching granola.
I'm picturing Mitch from old school, and I can't get it out of my head.
Mitch,
I'll
the
send you a
Godfather.
picture of.
Yeah.
I'll send you a picture. They took pictures of me on stage, and my friends zoomed in. They're like, "What's going on?" I'm like, "I don't know, but he's rocking it." So.
Are his
That's
toenails
funny.
cut?
Not.
You can't
not
zoom in that
honestly.
much. Yeah,
No, you
zoom in
can.
that much.
My friends did.
That's
But he's a legend. He can do what he wants.
What's New York like? Like, has it come back from the COVID thing? Like, are people moving back? Is the city?
It's bumping, yeah. New
is?
York's back. Yep, New York is back for sure. It's hard being a retail store here, specifically. So, just a little bit of backstory. Like, we opened up during the pandemic. We only started being a full 12 to 6 shop, 7 days a week in, I'd say, December, because we were just getting our bearings. But it's hard because we're in the West Village, and there's not a lot of things around here that young collector stereotypes would go for, sports stuff around here. It's mostly shopping. It's a very gay area, as in there's Stonewall, there's Cubbyhole, there's a bunch of historic gay places around here, which is not, I'm gay myself. So like, I'm like all to that. Doesn't matter.
No,
but,
like literally across the street to the left.
Like there's
all
sex
these
shops.
interesting. Yeah.
Like you said, no rules. So, there are sex shops all over the place. Just
London,
didn't want
right
to
down the
sound
block.
ignorant
Right?
when I was talking about gay people. So,
No.
but yeah, no.
Listen, do not sound.
You know the place, Cage?
Yeah, London. Yeah, of course. You could buy a full leather
He actually
outfit.
had the bag there when he came in
Yeah.
on Thursday. He came in with
That's
like
it, I
a
did.
bag. and
I
it
go
said-
shopping there myself, 100%. It's literally right down the block, right between the
They
subway
sell,
and
If you're into leather stuff, male,
Yeah.
woman, anything,
Full
they
on.
sell it.
like Pulp Fiction. The ball.
Mhm.
They got it right in the window. I'm telling you.
But that is
Yeah.
what makes New York, New York. You know what I mean? Like a
It is.
shop in Miami is gonna look really different than a shop in New York is the melting pot.
Yeah, but I think
Literally.
it's tough for us to get people who are
Foot
collecting
traffic.
cards. Yeah, because it's that, and then really high end restaurants. So unless you know about Bleecker, which a lot of people are learning that we're
Right.
here, we're not getting the traffic that's just walking by and coming in. We're going to be becoming a destination store. So yeah, we're accessible by train, by car. There's not a lot of parking, but I think that people who are coming to the city are coming to Bleecker for Bleecker. Not just walking by and seeing us, which is different because everybody's like, oh, you're in the city, it's so poppin'. I'm like, no, it's kind of hard because it's not just that, oh, there's this big crisp store. It's like, no, we're a tiny space and you kind of got to look for us. So
Yeah, it's a tough
but it is
spot. It's
back.
a tough location.
Yeah. But it's definitely back. I'm super excited. I think our outdoor space in the back is going to be awesome for the summer and spring. So I'm excited that we're back for sure.
The store I used to go to in the city, Andrew, by comparison, was literally equidistant from the stock exchange and the World Trade Center. it was like 2-block walk from either way. So, I mean, lunchtime, it was frequented, when LeBron came out in 2003, it was frequented by, stockbrokers who were taking their lunch break and were opening up boxes like crazy looking for LeBron.
Was that
Chameleon.
Bowl? Yeah,
Chameleon.
I've been there.
Have you ever read Liar's Poker or like Long-Term Capital Management? Cage?
Me?
No.
Oh.
I don't read. If any book's good enough, they'll make a movie out of it, and I can get in and out in 2 hours.
The stockbrokers in the financial space, they're huge degen gamblers, and
yeah,
I could see that niche really catching on. It's long-term capital management when genius failed is the book. It talks about how these guys, I mean, they would make arbitrage on like these huge yields on treasuries, but during their lunch breaks, they would play poker, gamble, buy cards, do all this stuff like just to like pass the time. So
that's what they were doing. A lot of people buying cards, a lot of stockbrokers. Andrew, you'd love currently on the corner of Bleecker and Christopher is Whalebone. No, I'm
the
not.
broth place.
No,
the broth place is delicious.
But right now they have it's bananas, like your hat from Whatnot. The whole thing is decked out in bananas. It's like a banana display. It's the craziest thing. I don't know what the hell it is. There's just bananas.
It's a comedy club right now.
It's a comedy club.
They do comedy, and I guess they have different people come in every few months, and they just change it over. So right now it's something to do with bananas. I don't know. It's like the funny line. Look at that.
There you go, the banana hat.
That's a hat.
You got to go right to the corner there, banana it up. It's bananas everywhere. It's bananas.
Andrew, where are you
Headphones don't work.
from?
This is so uncomfortable.
Where is he from?
Yeah. Like,
Andrew, you want to know where you're from and where you live? Well, that is two very different questions.
Where do you live
Two
currently?
very different questions.
What state?
Andrew, where do you live currently?
The state of Quintana Roo in Mexico.
Oh.
No, but I'm moving to Florida.
Yeah.
I was actually living in Brooklyn when COVID hit. I sprained my ankle the day COVID hit, and Rudy Gobert was touching all those mics. We were playing basketball at the YMCA on 14th. Dude, I was giving people the business. That was my peak basketball stage. And then COVID hit. My parents
bong
terrible right now. My parents went to Mexico, and like 1 month turned into 3 months, turned into a year. And with COVID and all that stuff, my mom works remote. My sister works remote. I do this. My dad's chilling. So
why not?
But I'm moving to Florida.
What part?
Boca.
Okay.
Sierra La Boca Raton.
Nice. My parents live in Anna Maria Island right now. So
they moved from Jersey?
For the next, like, they do 6 months on, 6 months off. So they've been
Snowbirds.
gone a little bit. Yep, that's what we call them.
Snowbirds. I love it.
Luka Nation, Jess, can you tell people once again where they could follow you, where they could support? We're big fans of Bleecker, big fans of Jess, Jacob, the whole squad. It's good people. Like, it's really good people. It's fun. If you're ever in New York, send Bleecker Trading a DM, send Jess a DM, and stop in the store. So could you tell people where they can find you, Jess?
For sure. So you guys can follow me on Instagram, Breaks with Jess, or even breakswithjess.com. I have Twitter as well. Hopefully get TikTok soon. Or Bleecker Trading. So make sure there's a C in there. So just like right there.
Yeah, over sure that's it. Is this where we're putting the Statue of Liberty here? Right there. It's like one of those.
Like right there.
Liberty, right there with the C. I leave the C out sometimes too.
Yeah, so we're on our website, even bleakertrading.com. We're on network. We do live breaks there. We go live on Instagram. I break live on a Facebook group called Roto Breaks, as well as Breaks with Jess on YouTube. And yeah, we're going to be live on Loop 2 and just every platform we can be. We just love it. So you guys give us a follow.
Any shows? Going to be at like Long Island National in April.
Dallas show. The National, 100%.
Jess is very approachable, guys. Go ahead, say hi, take a picture, put it on your post because she has trouble with the content. So you make the content, tag her, and boom, it's instant content. You know what I mean?
And
say
I appreciate it.
See, there you go.
I appreciate it.
Come say hi.
Yeah, come say hey. Come to our trade nights at Bleecker. I'm always here. I'm here 5 days a week, if not 7, because I can't get enough of it. And just come hang out. And thanks for having me, guys. Seriously, this was an awesome way to start my week.
Thank you, Jess.
And now you can do a podcast. You do one a week. Anybody wants to have Jess on here, she's a natural. Can't believe this is the first time. No way. There you go. Thanks, Jess.
Thanks, guys.